As at the point when I was getting my license, I didn't want to travel. I didn't have that money at that point to spend on traveling from Nigeria to the US to go write the praxis exam. I wanted to get the license from the comfort of my home. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I got my US teaching license. Hello lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Onyi Anekwe. Today's video is long overdue. I got lots of questions in my relocation vlog asking how I got my QTS. I'm going to be doing a series to explain how I got 2 American teaching license and how I was able to obtain the UK QTS. On this channel, I create content around skincare and lifestyle. What most of you do not know is that I am also a teacher. I've been teaching for about 14 years. I spent 6 years of the 14 years working at a Nigerian school, and I spent the last 8 years working at an American international school in Nigeria. For context, I'm going to take you guys back and talk a little bit about my educational background. So I have a bachelor's degree in applied geophysics. Shout out to all my Malabite and Malabreses out there. So I got my degree at the University of Calabar in Nigeria. I didn't have a bachelor's in education. So to be able to, fit into the educational system, I needed to do a postgraduate in education, and that would put me at par with someone who studied education. So I went on to do my PGDE with NTI. NTI is an institution responsible for providing training and development programs for teachers in Nigeria. I did the NTI program and I got my postgraduate diploma in education at the end. With this, I was able to fit into the educational system and work as a teacher. After working 6 years in a Nigerian school, I got a job at an international school, and then I started my career there as a teaching assistant. To be able to work in an international school, you need to have certain certifications, and a certification in the US, the UK, New Zealand, or Australia were the requirements for the school where I was working at the time. If I had to move up, I needed to get these qualifications. This was like in 2015, and at that point, social media wasn't the way it is now. People were not sharing as much information on YouTube. It wasn't really easy for me to get all the information I needed at the point, but thankfully it's changed. I'm happy to share my experience so that people who are actually interested in career progression can take advantage of this. Like I said, I was working as a teaching assistant, and at that point in the organization where I work, I wasn't entitled to PD funds, right? So I needed to be able to get this license, and I was looking for a way to get it for as cheap as possible. I was not interested in traveling to the US. I wanted to get the license right there in Nigeria. If you have watched this video to this point and you're not subscribed yet, please do click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to drop your questions or your comments down in the comment section, because I know I might not be able to address everything in this video. Have you been able to get the US license? What route did you use in getting the license? Let's interact in the comment section. I decided to get the US license because I was working at an American school. So, it made sense for me to get the American license, right? And one good thing about the American license is the fact that it is recognized anywhere in the world. If you are actually looking to teach internationally, maybe work as a teacher in Asia or in Europe, the American license is something that can give you an edge. I would say you should consider getting the American license because it's internationally recognized. Another thing to point out is, unlike TRCN, in Nigeria, when you get your TRCN, it's for life, right? Same thing with the QTS. When you get the QTS, it's for life. With the American license, most of the licenses get renewed either after 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. Another thing with the US license is the fact that each state has its requirement for licensure. That brings me to my point. So one thing that I did, Google was my friend at the point when I was doing this research. I considered states like Georgia, but I decided to stick with Hawaii. As at the point when I applied for my license in 2018, the state of Hawaii was issuing licenses to out-of-country applicants. So I got my first teaching license in the US from the state of Hawaii. The license I got was in 6 to 12 physics, and it was going to last for 5 years. You're thinking to yourself, what do I really need to be able to, start off this process? Most of us would usually think, oh, we need a master's in the UK, a master's in the US to be able to get this license. But to be honest, what you have as a teacher, if you already have the NTI or you have a bachelor's degree in education, that is enough. You don't need anything else, because you need to evaluate your results. The first step to this process is to evaluate your credentials. Credential evaluation helps to determine the equivalency of your credential in the new context. So your degree wasn't obtained in the US. The grading system in Nigeria is different from that of the US, and your Nigerian certificate might not really make as much sense to them. So they have to redo that result in a way that it makes sense to anyone who is in the US looking at it. So that's basically what credential evaluation is. And then there are different bodies that actually do this credential evaluation. I did mine with ECE, and that is Education Credential Evaluators. The most common body is WES, W-E-S. That's the one most people are really, conversant with. So that's the first step. Your first step is to evaluate your results. The result you're evaluating is whichever result you obtained in Nigeria, either your bachelor's in education or your BSc, your normal BSc, and your postgraduate degree in education. Those are the things you need to evaluate depending on your school. Like when I did mine, I requested for my bachelor's degree online, right? I was able to do that online, and I was also able to do for my NTI online. I requested for these results, but before you request for your results in Nigeria, you want to go to either WES or ECE, whichever body you want to use to evaluate your results. By the way, you're doing a course by course evaluation. This is not the same one you do for immigration. The one you do for immigration is different from this. This is a course by course evaluation. That's what you're requesting. You log onto the WES website, you request for a course by course evaluation. When you go through the process and then you make the payments, you're going to get a reference number, right? When you get this reference number, you then want to go to your school where you got your bachelor's degree in education, or your normal bachelor's degree and your postgraduate degree. If it's 2 results you're getting, or if it's 1 result, as the case may be, you request for your transcript and then let them know to include your name and the reference number you got from WES on the envelope that they'll be sending to WES. Why you need to do this is so that it's easy for them to, link your transcript to your application, right? As soon as WES receives your transcript, they are then going to evaluate it. The third step will be for you to decide which of the states you'll be getting your license from. I got my first license from the state of Hawaii. At the moment, the state of Hawaii no longer issues licenses to teachers who do not teach in the US. So for you to be able to get a license from Hawaii, you need to have taught in the US. I was able to switch my Hawaii license to another state. So that's something called reciprocity. Reciprocity is when you're able to transfer your license from one state to another without really going through the rigor or all the requirements of the other states, just because you already hold a license from a different state. So I was able to do the reciprocity for Iowa, and that was how the application was straightforward. I filled in the application, sent in my Hawaii license and everything, and I qualified for the Iowa license and I was issued the license. And that was how I was able to get my license in 2 different states. There are several other ways to get your license. I'm going to be doing another video to share with you the list of states that still issue out of country licenses at the moment. So you want to look out for that video. In this video, I'm basically just sharing my own experience to let you know that these things can actually be done. If you decide what state you want to do your application with, you can then look through the requirements. One requirement for most states is that they need a state-approved teacher preparatory program. So what's the teacher preparatory program basically? That is your PGCE. For those who did PGCE with NTI, that is a teacher preparatory program. Any course that actually prepares you to be a teacher is what is referred to as a teacher preparatory program. So all you need to do, if you did a bachelor's degree in education and you did all those, your teaching practice and all that, that is your teacher preparatory program. So what you do need to do is, if you evaluate your results, then they can see the courses that you've done, see the grades you got in each of those courses. And that stands as your teacher preparatory program. So depending on the state, like I said, different states have different requirements. So if it's a state that actually issues licenses to teachers that are trained out of country, that your B.Ed or your NTI takes the place of the teacher preparatory program. I went onto the Hawaii Teacher State Board website, created an account, and started filling out the form. In the course of filling out the form, I had questions and I sent emails and they responded. As soon as ECE was done evaluating the results, they sent it to me. I scanned it, attached it to my portal. I made the payment for the license. When they reviewed, I got my license in my email. That's how straightforward the process is. I think the only thing that really took time for me was getting my university to email my transcript to ECE. As soon as my transcript got to ECE, the process was kind of faster. I remember after getting my teaching license, I went on to apply to a school in Vietnam. And I got an interview. I got the attention of one school. We interviewed. I got to the last stage, but I eventually did not get the job. I believe that getting an internationally recognized certification added to my ability to be able to, get the school's attention. So if you really want to, explore teaching abroad, you need to equip yourself with all the things you need that will give you an edge in anticipation for that role you're looking for. As at the point when I was getting my license, I didn't want to travel. I was specifically looking for states that praxis was not a requirement, because with most of the states now, praxis is a requirement for you to be able to get your teaching license. I didn't have that money at that point to spend on traveling from Nigeria to the US to go write the praxis exam. I wanted to get the license from the comfort of my home. Things are a bit different now. You might have to take some exams. So the common exam people take to get licensed or certified in the US is the praxis. I'm going to be explaining that route in my next video. I'm going to be encouraging every teacher out there, if you have big dreams, you need to take those steps. It wasn't an easy step, I must say, because sometimes when you tell your story, it's just a story, so people don't really understand what effort was put into it. But you know what? You just have to keep taking those steps in the right direction. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and share this video with as many people you think might benefit from it. Please go ahead and drop all your questions in the comments section. I'm going to try my best to answer them as much as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and please do not give up on all those big dreams you have as a teacher. I'll see you again in my next one. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.